Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network.
'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven.
A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UBNradio.com.
Hey, everybody. It is Wednesday, January 14th. I'm Emerson Collins.
And I'm Del Shores.
And you're listening to The Del and Emerson Show.
Straight talk.
Real gay! I think the mic cut out for a second, so it sounds like I'm hosting the show by myself today.
Am I
I'm doing them
on?
Yes, you're on.
I'm not hearing myself in my headset.
I hear
I'm
so much of you.
Okay, good.
I mean, you
Okay.
were just the sound.
Turn me up.
Of my thoughts.
My fans await.
Oh.
I can't be silent. I will not be silent.
Ever.
Not today.
Ever. Today.
How are you, Emerson Collins?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Actually, it's a little hot in here, so I'm taking my
is
hoodie
warm,
off.
and we
so
had-
I'm
usually-
doing a costume change on the air.
we had to rush in. There's a big turnover here at the UBN Radio.
I know, big
This
things
is full.
happening at the
lots
network.
Of, lots of shows.
Well, we have a very exciting show today. Extraordinary actor and an incredible member of the LGBT community, Peter Paige, star of Queer as Folk, and one of the creators of the highly celebrated The Fosters on ABC Family, will be joining us a little later on to talk about that show.
I'm so excited to see Mr. Page.
So excited.
He
And
was- you're not supposed to say who's your favorite on the shows, but he was certainly in the top 9.
great.
We want to start the show by honoring somebody who was very, very special to us and gave us a lot of pleasure in making a movie called Blues for Willadine. Blues for Willadine would not have been made if it had not been for the passion of Bobby Reardon, and we unexpectedly lost Bobby on Saturday, and ironically we were having a domestic violence benefit in Norfolk, Virginia that he put together, and Del Dickey, Debbie Holliday, David Steen, and I were together that night, and we honored him by showing the movie, which he had scheduled and had it was so unexpected, and it just teaches us that we have to look around and see everybody that we love and tell them that often, and that's what I was reminded of. And we're going to miss Bobby. He really was a true Southern gentleman who loved to tell stories, and I love that, and I'm going to miss his stories, and I'm going to miss those phone calls because sometimes we would joke, you and I, Emerson, right? We go, oh, Bobby's calling, we better, it's going to be 30 minutes, and I wish I had another 30 at least.
And they are having the service for him today in Atlanta. And so we are just sending our love and thoughts to his wife, Dell, and to his son, Robert, and his wife, Ashley, and their grandkids and the rest of their family. He was a lion of a man, a true Southern gentleman, and we are grateful for the opportunity that we had to work with him.
Yeah, he helped bring the Olympics to Atlanta. He worked with President Carter. He left an incredible legacy. So we love you, Bobby.
All right, well, we will move on to the gay news. It is a very big week in LGBT TV, and so we will kick it off with Sunday night was the Golden Globe Awards. What did you think?
I loved them. I did. I loved all the glamour. I was fascinated by the outfits and watched the Fashion Police with Kathy Griffin to see.
How'd she do?
She did. I thought she did really well. I mean, she was Kathy. She wasn't Joan. She was Kathy. And everybody else was wonderful.
How was Brad? I love Brad.
Brad was great. Brad just embraces. He's gaydom. He's just all about the gay. And
yes,
he's got some. He's smart.
Yes, he is.
He's some really. Is he? I don't know anything about him.
He had a whole series. He came from the Rachel Zoe project. He was Rachel Zoe's assistant. Then he got his own show as a stylist called "It's a Brad World." He is married to Gary Janetti, who is a writer for Family Guy and created that show Vicious with Ian McKellen and Derek Jacobi.
So I'm just ignorant.
A little bit.
Just
basically,
so ignorant.
I'm teaching you about
I just
modern
thought,
gay.
he's a cute guy with a bow tie. He knows his fashion.
And I think they're hilarious and adorable as a couple for the gay community, and I love that he's doing the show.
So what'd you love about the Golden Globes?
First of all, Amy Poehler and Tina Fey, I think they are geniuses. I thought the entire night was won 4 minutes in when they did their Bill Cosby impression, because the degree to which that was an incisive commentary on what's happening culturally with him and that he was the butt of the joke, brilliant comedians, and proved that you can make a rape joke that is funny when you point it at the person who is being accused. I just thought it was the best moment of the night, and I was like, 4 minutes in, going to be a good show.
Yeah, it was a good, and they looked good too. I thought
Always.
both of them, although they were on the Fashion Police, they did not like Tina's opening number. Some of them didn't.
That's all. I mean, they can't like everything, otherwise Fashion Police would be
That's
boring.
right.
But the other thing I really, really loved about the show is how many of the winners, as artists, are aware of the impact of their art. I thought it was a great night for sort of social justice issues, from Maggie Gyllenhaal's speech about feminism to Gina Rodriguez's speech about,
Loved her
the
speech.
Latino community wanting to see themselves as as heroes, all the way down to the incredible wins for Transparent and the visibility of the
Yes.
trans community and the gracious awareness that Jeffrey Tambor clearly has for the role and the experience he's had with it, and of course Jill Soloway for creating the series. So
And what is her story?
That's her. Yes.
Yes, this is her story.
Yes.
So she just took her life and made some art and money.
Yes.
I love it. I just love it. My future husband won, as you know.
Matt Bomer is who we're talking about. Here's my question about Matt Bomer. Who do you think he fantasizes about? Because he's already
Me.
Matt Bomer.
Me.
I don't think that's the answer.
Well, in my fantasies, he fantasizes
In your
about me.
when you fantasize about him, he's fantasizing.
That's exactly.
Well,
is that
good
the
luck with
epitome
that.
of narcissism?
Yes, yes, it is. Well done, congratulations.
But even people who, I'm talking straight men, women, everybody says he is the most beautiful man in the world. He really is, truly, and he gave a wonderful speech.
He did.
So I'm so proud of him.
Although I will say my favorite look of the entire night was not actually on the show. It was Conchita Wurst made an appearance on the red carpet. You know who that is? The bearded lady singer that won Eurovision. She showed up in this like green gown with this like camel corset underneath that matched her shoes, and I was like, "You win the red carpet, bearded lady. Yes, you do."
Oh, I love this. Well, my favorite moment back to Fashion Police was when they were doing the worst, and Kathy Griffin actually pulled out some big old white plastic gloves.
Those ridiculous gloves
that Miss George Clooney wore.
That's because she's
her the worst.
She did it just because she was like, I work in a real world and have a real impact on real things, and these people are gross. I need some gloves.
I do not want to touch them.
I don't want to be touched by anybody.
It's either that or a bottle of Purell after every person I shake their hands.
Like smartest person in the room.
All right. Well, we also had Looking
premiere
yes.
on Sunday night.
What'd you think?
I loved it.
I did too.
But I loved it from the beginning. Last year when the series premiered, it seemed like every gay writer for every gay entertainment was upset with something. It wasn't political enough, or it was boring, or it was all of these things. And it's sort of that we are so impossible to please.
Yeah, we
as
are.
a community.
Everybody wants a show to be their show. They want it. That does not represent me. Once again, I blogged about it. I wrote on my Facebook about it, and I did think that there was an executive at HBO that said, "Let's queer as folk it up a little bit." It did feel that just a little bit to me. From the fairies and the more sex. I think they said more sex. I do, but
I don't think there was more than there was in the episodes where they actually had sex last year. That thing against where Jonathan Groff against the tree, it lasted like 3 seconds.
That's true, but there was anyway.
It just felt like a season premiere.
It did
kick off with a big thing
and some thinking points like, oh my God, he's back. The boss is back. So my only complaint is it's 30 minutes. I could watch it for an hour.
Yeah.
I really could.
Well, and part of what I love about it is that it is a slice of life. These are just gay guys living a life. They're not doing huge important things. They're struggling with very normal people things. They're aware that they're making bad decisions and continue to make them. But I love and have where the series sold me was the episode that it was just the date of the two of them, and that was the entire episode. I thought that was such brave,
brilliant
television making to believe that we would stay with them for that. And I love the little things, like when the two of them are laying on the bed and talking, and they don't have the kind of space that straight guys keep between them. Like the intimacy of gay friendships that's not sexual. Like the things about us that are genuinely different are being conveyed in the show, and I love it.
Emerson, I'm finding myself agreeing with everything you were saying today. I'm scared, just a little scared.
We'll get to something. Well, and also they brought in Daniel Francesi, was one of the stars of Mean Girls, and he's on as the big new bear, potential maybe a love interest, and his character is HIV positive, and he works with LGBT homeless youth.
He's like perfect.
Yes.
And he just got naked. At that size, I loved it.
Yes,
I loved it.
At that size.
Well, you know what? Because
big people get naked too.
I know that, but I don't think they're always allowed to. That's my point.
But because people like you say things like clothing optional, it's optional, sir.
Yes, well, possibly.
Could that be why?
Well, now Emerson's calling me out.
I'm just
from
saying.
our thousands and thousands of people. Well, it is true. I do say that in my stand-up. It's optional. It's optional. But
Just so
you
y'all
know
listening
what?
at home, we didn't discuss that in advance, and I just thought it the minute you started to say, like, they're so, good for them. Right.
Well, I always want to do that. I want to say, good for you that you're celebrating that body, and good for you that, because I don't have the balls to do that. I don't have the and that scar that looks like you did your own appendectomy. Good for you that you're allowing yourself to be seen like a. But I actually loved the way he looked.
Well, and I love that shot of them riding down the river. I do love that they're people complain about diversity and all these kinds of things, but that it is showing a broader cross section of us than is
certainly
normally
more than we
seen.
did on Queer as Folk. I do have to admit that.
Well,
Absolutely.
but they are able to because of the work that Queer as Folk did. So it is
Absolutely.
stepping forward. All right. Well, and one more. This is a really, really quick thing, but right after Looking was the season premiere of Girls, which featured. What I'm going to call is burned into my memory as the scene where Peter Pan got rimmed in a kitchen by a dude.
It was so fast, but it was so
aggressive
and specific.
It was.
For
those
the
of you-
jiggling ass. That
for
was
those
like,
of you-
oh, it was just crazy.
Not aware, Allison Williams is the character, but she played Peter Pan in Peter Pan Live. So to me, it was like Peter Pan was getting rimmed. And it's only happened one time on network television, rimming, and that was in the season premiere of How to Get Away with Murder this year.
That is not true. If you go to the pilot of Queer as Folk,
That's not network television.
well, it was Showtime. And
That's Ritz.
but are you calling HBO network?
No, network television is NBC, CBS, and ABC.
Okay, but I thought you were saying that it's only happened once
On network television.
On network. Okay, all right. Okay,
Uh-huh.
all right.
It's happened on
And it
in the
happens a
pilot.
lot on this channel I watch called randyblue.com. It happens all the time.
They did it on Queer as Folk and on Sex and the City as well.
That's true.
But there have only been
Absolutely.
5 instances. So
You're just keeping tally.
Uh-huh.
All right.
I did research.
And 3 of those gay and 2 straight?
Yes.
Okay.
We've yet to
interesting.
see the reverse. A straight girl rimming a straight man.
I'm whenever I work in TV next, I'm writing that episode.
And as Monique taught us in the Queens of Comedy, it happens.
It does happen. Yes.
All right. Well, and flashing on to the big story that we talked about last week, My Husband's Not Gay.
We both saw
actually
it.
aired on TLC on Sunday, and we both watched it.
What'd you think?
Okay. I still think what I thought before. I think that there are people, this is an issue where half of the country still sort of waffles on whether or not we should be able to get married. And I think too many people that don't live in a liberal and conservative world could look at this and think, see, that's a valid choice that I can encourage my child, my youth to follow. I still think that is a dangerous thing. We only have 2 states, and we'll continue to talk about this, where reparative therapy is illegal. And this sort of choice, if you're going to make this choice and you're going to live it at home, I'm not going to judge you. I'm not interested. I don't care. Once you put it on reality television and say, like, this is a life that I am proud to lead, then I have a comment about it.
Well, it felt like to me also that there was kind of almost a making fun of who they were, and I felt that they basically were saying we are not healed, we are not repaired, we are gay.
Yeah.
I mean, same-sex attraction is 3 words for the word gay. I'm sorry, they're gay. They may be leading a life where they've married or whatever. I did that too, but I was gay.
Yeah.
So it's not going to change. And whether they want to do that, I mean, the one thing that I have to applaud one guy, at least he told on the first date the girl. The other ones did not do that, which many of us don't. I mean, because there's deceit in the marriage as well. So, but I don't know how. I mean, honestly, Emerson, I felt more sorry for the wives because there was a trust factor that they will never have.
I didn't.
Never.
I did not feel sorry for the
Because they
wives.
made the
Yes,
choices?
because like that one, the militant one. She's like the one checking up on him. You can't go camping. No, you made this decision. I don't feel sorry for you. You chose willingly to marry this person, so you accepted these circumstances. And also, and the bigger the thing that I really do have an issue with, and with the reparative therapy, is how many of them are involved with and work with. 2 of them owned a reparative therapy company,
And it was not acknowledged.
and
in the
that was
show.
not addressed at all.
No,
And
not
so
at all.
it's a subversive reparative therapy commercial on television. And I've watched lots of gay writers that I really respect say we shouldn't be making such a big deal out of this. But I think so many of them forget what it's like to be in a community where someone could point to this and say, see, you may feel like that, but you don't have to do it, and you can be like these people.
Well, what about Leela? I mean, the transgender Alcorn, whose family basically put her in therapy for reparative therapy, and she committed suicide. So I agree with you on that. I'm agreeing with you.
Well, I mean, I think it's sad, like whatever, but I do.
Yes.
I think you open your doors to put it out on television, and I still don't think this is like, watching a crazy cult where everyone's going to watch it and think it's crazy. Of course, gay people and liberal people and people who have gay friends watch it and think this is sad. I think too many people could watch it and see it as an example.
Well, we've got this Dallas Dallas billboard that went up that our second guest Jeremy Schwab has embraced and endorsed, and it's actually his mentor who has put it up, who he worked with. And I wrote him a letter today, Emerson. You know what? I've tried to hold back my tongue. I'm so pissed off at these people who continue to do this.
Give us what the billboard is.
Oh, the billboard. Yeah, thank you. The billboard is basically it says where is it?
Here,
It
I've
says
got it.
reparative. Read it.
It says focus therapy, reparative therapy, authentic counseling, real therapy really works, and then the website.
And he's got it up in the chat room. I mean, so you can see it there. But I mean, what do you think? You do have some news about this, though. It's coming down.
Well, it's interesting because I believe the Dallas Morning News talked to David Pickup, who's the therapist the billboard advertises, and he said that homosexuality is an attachment issue based on severe emotional wounds. Sort of the same line that Jeremy gave us back when he was on the show. But Think Progress spoke with Terry Kafka, the president of Impact Outdoor Advertising that owns the billboard, and they said that they had been convinced the ad was for couples therapy, having never heard the term reparative therapy before, which I believe, because if you're not in the gay community or religious gay community, it's a term that not everyone's familiar with. And he described the true content of the ad as repulsive to him personally, promising that the ad would be coming down by next week at the latest. If we had known, we wouldn't have put it up in the first place. So that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm just finding these people. And the good news is Exodus International has gone away. One of the is it Evergreen? The Mormon one that these guys were
Evergreen that Prett the one with the really gay eyebrows.
Yeah.
And his wife worked with is also closed.
It went belly up.
Yes.
And so, what I did write to Jeremy is I said, I am going to fight you publicly. Listen to our show today. So, Jeremy, if you're listening, I am going to fight you publicly because what you are doing, and I have said it on the show, blood is on your hands when these kids are trying to figure out how to change, and they are not capable of it because they are not capable of it. And all of these guys on this show are living proof of that, as is Jeremy Schwab, who has told me that he still has same-sex attraction, which is gay. Sorry.
Well, and I go back to, great, you want to live your life, do what you want, but reparative therapy for minors is still only illegal in California and New Jersey. There are 48 states where parents can take their children and try to get them fixed, like what happened to Leela. And I was thinking about it earlier because I wrote a big, long thing about it. Of all of the terrible things we can encounter when we go out in the world about reasons people don't like us, whether we're too tall, too short, because we like this kind of movie or this kind of music, or we're gay or lesbian, or because we're black or Mexican, one of the only kinds of hatred you can be born into is homophobia, biphobia, and transphobia.
Right.
You can't be born into racism. Black parents don't hate their children. It's not until you leave the home. So it is really, really important that we put on the LGBT agenda to truly reparative therapy should be an important part.
It should
of
be
our
right
advocacy.
I mean, I think that HRC should just start making statements about it, just as they did with trans. We have got to go after these people.
And to be clear, I'm not diminishing the terror of all other kinds of hatred. I'm just saying that the home that you live in is you can be born into that kind of hatred. So that's why I am so passionate on this particular subject in reparative therapy. For
again,
children.
I am agreeing with you. And we are seeing every single day. We are seeing people who were leaders in these organizations coming out and saying, "I'm sorry." And these, I hope that both of these guys do the same thing. I hope that Jeremy's organization, Joel 225, goes belly up like the rest of them, and that this man is put out of business as his billboard is destroyed and taken down. Okay.
I feel like it's just him and some intern running that website anyway.
Well, I told you today they've expanded their ministry to Russia. They've translated everything for Russia after what's been done there.
Well,
I'm like, fuck you.
Well, you can do that with Google. So I don't really feel like his organization's as impactful as his website might think it is. So I mean, I feel like they're sort of sad and pathetic, but it's important we shut them down completely.
They are sad and pathetic, but I will say this, and I will say it. I said it in the letter to him. Once this is all going away and he needs to come back, I will be there for him. I did care for Jeremy. I do care for Jeremy, and I will be there when he comes back. I don't know how you can repair what you've done. I don't.
Yeah.
All these people are saying, I'm sorry. What can they do? What can they really do? They can say, I'm sorry, but a lot of damage has been done. Okay, onward.
All right, really quickly, the equality update. South Dakota's marriage ban was overturned, but immediately stayed pending an 8th Circuit Court ruling, and the Supreme Court has put off any marriage decisions. It is possible that they could pick up the cases on Friday. We're still hoping they will pick up the conflicting case from the 6th Circuit. And related to that, as marriage equality continues to march incredibly quickly forward, lots of these kinds of religious freedom bills are being introduced. Virginia and Texas has both had bills introduced in the last week or two. Virginia had one that would attach a conscience clause to any license, registration, or certificate obtained from the state, whether by a business or agency. Basically boiling down to any business that has a license from the state could discriminate based on their religious liberty. Now, nobody really believes it's going to be enacted, and a similar one was introduced in Texas. Of course, always my dear, dear home state of Texas. That would the Texas bill would punish state workers who issue same-sex marriage licenses by losing their salaries and benefits. Now, that conflicts obviously with what's happening in the court cases, but it's important that we all stay vigilant and remember to pay attention to the legislation that they attempt to pitch in each individual state in response to the success of marriage equality. The adventure continues.
And these politicians are just doing this for votes, correct?
Yes,
because
they're
nothing
pandering.
They can do.
And if any of them get passed, they'll get flipped into the courts and be overturned. But it is going to be an arduous process, and it's important that we all be paying attention to shut them down as early in the process as possible.
Let's just save some taxpayer money and stop. Just say marriage equality. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We could do that.
Well,
all right.
we've got 13 states left, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what else? Oh, we have the mayor of Atlanta who has been fired. I mean, the mayor of Atlanta fired the chief of the fire chief. God, I like reporting badly. I'm like,
a tough sentence.
Who are some of those people who have done that? You see it on YouTube all the time. It's like, oops, I just did it. Don't put that on YouTube, guys. The mayor of Atlanta fires police chief. That's the headline.
Fire chief.
Yeah,
One more
the fire
time.
chief.
There we go.
Thank
So
you,
close.
Emerson. I'm just so riled up over this.
It is a lot. I know. It's
a
high.
We need to take breathing exercises after
now
we
you're
get
just
off
wasting
of our
time. You gonna tell this story?
Okay. Atlanta Fire Chief Kevin Cochran gave out copies of his Christian self-help book. The book in part condemns homosexuality as vile and vulgar and inappropriate. Mayor Kasim Reed says he was fired because he didn't get clearance to publish the book. Cochran, on the other hand, claims he was fired because of his religious beliefs. The evangelist Franklin Graham called Mr. Cochran the largest target of political correct bullying against Bible-believing Christians. AFA has gone after this. There
was
had
a
big
huge
rally
yesterday. Yeah, in Atlanta.
And basically the conflict is you can have your religious beliefs, but you do have to go through some protocol to publish those.
Well, it's
correct?
funny. Yes, but I mean, realistically, the mayor's office is saying the correct thing. He was fired for not going through the correct procedure, but he was really fired for this terrible belief. And I love that we're getting to the point where it is no longer acceptable to even state publicly as a public official that you hold a bigoted against the LGBT community belief. I mean, let's be frank. He got fired because this is distasteful and disgusting, and they used the fact that he didn't get it approved for the technical reason. I mean, he's going to sue them, but at least it seems like they did it because he didn't get approval. But it's really because it's gross. He couldn't stand up and say that I wrote a book about how I hate black people.
But he is black.
And passed it out at work.
He's a black man, correct? The fire chief is a black man.
Okay.
But I mean, let's just say if a white fire chief had published a book that said, I support the slavery biblical passages or whatever, it doesn't fly, and it shouldn't fly.
Yeah.
This should not fly either.
Yeah, I love
and
it.
It didn't fly.
We're getting further and further. You can't even just
city.
say that this is what you believe. Well, this is huge in Atlanta, and AFA and all of those organizations are trying to use it as a rallying point because it's Southern, and they're losing so desperately legally that they're trying to stem some of the cultural influence, and they will try to use this incident to pass a religious liberty bill in Georgia. So Atlantans, right? Atlantans? Atlanteans?
guess.
That Atlanteans makes it sound like they're the people from the under the ocean city. So it must be Atlantans. Keep an eye out for that sort of legislation. And finally, checking in with Crazy.
Oh boy. Well, go.
Whether you have or haven't seen, this guy Larry Tomczyk writes for the Christian Post, and he wrote an article entitled, "Are you aware of the avalanche of gay programming assaulting your home? What's going on? A lifestyle that Romans 1:24 through 27 labels as immoral, indecent, shameful, unnatural, and a perversion, bringing a due penalty." I love that he wrote due penalty instead of stoning, so I feel like he's being a little politically correct. Is conveyed to tens of millions of unsuspecting children, teens, and parents as normal, acceptable behavior. And then he goes on to list of how Hollywood is promoting homosexuality right now on all of these shows. Glee, Modern Family, Empire, The Biggest Loser, The Good Wife, Scandal, 2.5 Men, Grey's Anatomy, Survivor, and Dancing with the Stars. First of all, I wanted to say, sir, Dancing with the Stars wouldn't exist without gay people.
can't
There'd be
have
like
it.
there'd
You
be like
can't have it.
2 random sports people and and 3 straight female dancers on that show. So, but then his final one. He said Anderson Cooper boasts openly on TV he'd rather have sex with a man, plus co-host New Year's Eve festivities nationwide. Now, I don't know what that has to do with New Year's Eve, but we'll let him have it. And the one that's gotten everyone riled up is he said Ellen DeGeneres celebrates her lesbianism and marriage, in air quotes, in between appearances of guests like Taylor Swift to attract young girls.
Sounds like Taylor was on the lesbian bandwagon by the way he quoted
I know,
that.
like that she's a sympathizer
Yeah.
with the lesbians. And then he went on to say, what we can do, alternatives, purchasing wholesome DVD series and streaming selected programs are great alternatives. The Fugitive, Gunsmoke, Little House on the Prairie, I Love Lucy are all available and cheap. My son has had 2 adopted young boys who are growing up with Wally, Larry Mondello, Eddie Haskell, and the Beaver, and can't wait till the next episode.
Well, good for them.
First
good
of all,
for them.
the Beaver. Sir, you made a lesbian joke and then it talked about Leave It to Beaver?
you didn't
And you didn't catch that?
And let's face it. I mean, if you were a young gay boy and you saw Gunsmoke, Mac Dillon toting that gun, he's kind of hot.
I feel
mean,
like, yes.
And the Fugitive. I mean, these were some hot men for us.
Bless his stupid heart. Well, Ellen...
Michael Landon, hot.
Oh, yes. Heaven can wait.
And
I would
Little House
wait.
on the Prairie.
I would still wait for Michael Landon.
Ricky Ricardo, hot.
All of them. Well, he's all right.
Not the other one. What was his name?
Fred Mertz.
Fred Mertz. Not hot.
No, he was
Fred
apparently quite abusive to Vivian What's-Her-Face, so we're not a fan of him. Well, Ellen, who typically stays out of this kind of thing, went ahead and responded, and you should check out the video because in typical genius Ellen comedy, she said, I don't usually read anything about myself unless it's about me being pregnant, and then how else would I know? Gotta find out. But I heard there was an article written about me, and I would like to address it now. First of all, I'm not married, in air quotes. I'm just married. Larry, I don't even know what it means to celebrate my lesbianism. I mean, well, I guess I do. And then she pulled a popper out of her pocket and popped it on the air and said, like that, yay, I'm gay.
Not a popper like the gay boys use.
No, lesbian.
Like the New Year's Eve.
New Year's
part.
Eve,
Okay.
yeah. And then she went on
clear.
to brilliantly articulate, the only way I'm trying to influence people is to be more kind and compassionate with one another. That is the message I'm sending out. I don't have an agenda. And she pulled out this little vortex thing to start spinning, and she said, I'm not here to brainwash anyone. Attention, youth of the world. I want you to live your lives being exactly who you are. Be true to yourself. The most important thing is to be true to yourself. The second most important thing is that you wear Ellen underwear and only Ellen underwear.
Oh,
So
he's going to spin that about the underwear.
Right?
But I love her. I
yes.
love her. She was one of our pioneers. I continue to love her.
So, and bless his stupid heart. I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, there's going to be almost nothing left on television that he can watch where it doesn't just say gay people are just a part of life.
She did show a picture of Ethel and Lucy saying the jury was out, right?
Yes, she
It
would
was
get
like,
spanking her with a trash can lid or something and said, well, maybe. But speaking of LGBT TV that has been a big part of our theme, we are super excited. We will be right back after this with Peter Paige, star of Queer as Folk and the creator of The Fosters, just renewed for a season 3.
And we are celebrating today because our good friend Debbie Holiday with Tony Moran has a number 8 on the Billboard charts dance hit called I Like You. So enjoy Debbie Holiday, Tony Moran with I Like You. We'll be right back with my good friend Peter Paige.
Yeah. Hey, you over there
And we're back. That was Debbie Holiday and Tony Moran with I Like It and I Like You. And we have Peter Paige in the house. I should say award-winning Peter Paige. You've
yes.
got like a lot of
award-winning,
awards.
Settle
an
down.
icon,
Everybody settle
inspiration.
down. Oh, please.
I like going to IMDb and it says 6 nominations and 6 wins. That means you've never been the loser.
Oh, I've lost all sorts of things. My virginity, my dignity.
Boyfriends.
Oh, my God. I never found any of those.
How are you?
I'm great, baby. How are you?
I'm well. You're just like relishing with success, and it's so exciting to see.
You're a
and
sweetheart. Thank you.
I have to admit something. Before we got you on the show, before you agreed to come on our tiny little radio show, I had not seen The Fosters, and I was watching it today as we were preparing. And I walked out and I said to Emerson, I said, I know you didn't cry in any of it, but the pilot episode was just like tear after tear. It's brilliant. It's wonderful. It's diverse. It's so wonderful.
Thank you so much. We're super proud of it. I'm super grateful that it's on the air. I'm super happy to be putting that family out into the world. You know, I mean, Del and I go back to Queer as Folk. I don't know if everybody knows that, but we, you know, Del wrote probably 80% of my dialogue on Queer as Folk. So
Oh, you're very kind.
I mean, certainly a lot of it. No disrespect to Anna Ron if you're listening.
No, but for the last 3 seasons,
the last 3 seasons,
I loved your character so much.
Thank you. It was it was so. I loved it when you were there. It was super fun, and we go way back. I'm super grateful to be carrying that mantle forward a little bit. I think, you know, Queer as Folk was in your face and unapologetic and kind of, you know, paradigm shifting. And I think The Fosters is even more subversive.
I totally agree.
In so many ways. I think seeing this beautiful, rich, crazy, messed up, but very human family headed by 2 women is really powerful stuff.
Yeah, and for those who haven't seen it, The Fosters airs on ABC Family, and that was good. Will you just give us like the general? Because I love it because it's so hard to describe now. The original concept, right. It's 2 women.
The original concept is a multicultural family headed by 2 women with 1 biological son, 2 adopted twins, and 2 foster kids.
And they're just all different colors. It's like you
everyone's
got
a
the
different
Mexicans,
color.
you got the half blacks, you got this. I mean, and then she has a conversation with the Asian kid, and I mean, it's like it really is the most diverse show I've ever seen. I think where it's everything.
Well, and what I love, and what you just said I think is so true, is that what's subversive about it is once you get past that premise, then all it is a family dealing with the problems that come with being a family.
It's just a traditional family drama about a non-traditional family.
Yes, and so that all of those aspects, the sort of box-checking part that people want to do when they describe it, are not it's not, oh, look, they're lesbians. It's, oh, sometimes there are lesbian issues related to the situation this family is dealing with, but it's just, oh, we're 2 moms and we don't have time to have sex. It's not, oh, we're so, like, gay.
Right. No, 100%. That's super important to us. We really, really focus our storytelling on the trials and tribulations of being a family and being in relationship to each other. You know, 7 bodies knocking around in a house is hard, no matter who you are.
Right.
And when you're 7 people who come to the table with extra baggage because of how you got there, you know, because you've been kicked around in the foster system, or because your parents were drug addicts who gave you up, or because your parents got divorced, or whatever it is, there's lots of rich story there, and that's always where we begin things.
And your cast is amazing, by the way. I love every single one of them. I fell in love with that girl, your lead,
Maya Mitchell,
broke
Kelly,
my heart a million pieces, and she had edge. I loved it. I was going to start, and
the show gets even better. By the way, the pilot's like, I'm super proud of the pilot, but the show gets better.
It does. Well,
I'm going to watch them all.
My favorite is Cole, who didn't get introduced till way later.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the number, I'm curious, when you and Bradley is your co-creator, right?
Yeah, yes. Bradley Bredowin and I created the show together, and we run the show with a woman named Joanna Johnson too. The 3 of us. I don't want to deprive her of any credit.
Absolutely.
She's wonderful and contributes enormously to the show. So.
But you've managed to address so many issues without feeling like
an after-school special.
Yes,
we try,
which is brilliantly difficult because there are so many. For me, the most impactful thing recently was the episode about them dealing with losing the baby, you know, with needing to terminate the pregnancy, because there has, up to that point for me, there was an aspect of like, this is all really hard, but it's gonna work out.
Right.
And I mean that in a good way, because most families do. Like, stuff's hard and you get through it. Like, that was so striking for me in the change in that episode of, like, this really didn't work out. And that happens too. And
Yeah.
that's more of a comment, but I just think that is, you guys have really found a brilliant way to tell a story about a family that we can all relate to, and yet in some very specifically unique versions of stories that haven't been told.
Well, it's interesting. So writing teachers will always tell you, like, the specific is universal. Executives, on the other hand,
Right.
oftentimes want you to take things and make them less specific. They want you to make them general. And that didn't happen for us at ABC Family. They were incredibly into the spirit of this project and knew that it didn't matter, that the whole concept behind the Fosters is, yes, they may be gay women. Yes, they may be, black and brown and white and all kind of blended in there. But the stories are the same stories. Everyone can relate to what it's like to wait for the bathroom for the 800th time in a day. Everyone can relate to, you are friends with my best friend who I no longer talk to. Everyone can relate to, Mom, leave me the F alone. So that's the magic of the show, is they're just stories.
Now, I wonder how many people can relate to, I might or might not be sexually attracted to someone who may or may not eventually be officially my sibling.
All right.
I know, I
Yeah,
love
I was
that.
one-
But I will say this, everyone can relate to, I'm attracted to somebody I shouldn't be.
Absolutely. No,
I
and
have
I'm
an
kidding,
undeniable
but-
connection
I'm feeling
with
it right
somebody
now,
I'm not
just a little
supposed to
bit.
be.
But I'm so obsessed with that.
For
The-
Emerson, it's so awkward.
the
It's going to be
so-
so awkward.
It's so uncomfortable. But no, but I love that, even that, because that's so real. I mean, and there are blended that's the real thing too.
Yeah.
There are blended families that have dealt with that. No, but I'm kidding. I just love it because I'm definitely a little bit of a shipper that I'm like, please,
you?
like, I'm like,
You're a
oh,
Bradley shipper?
maybe he won't sign the papers and then they're not really related and they can like live happily ever after.
What's going to happen?
Well, they did it in August Osage County.
It's a little different in tone.
That was
a
a
little
big
different
shocker.
tone.
But
A little bit.
Here's what I love that you're doing, because I love our work on Queer as Folk. I celebrate it to this day. I don't care what anybody says. Anybody that complains about it and says anything to me, I will defend that show. It was one of the 3 happiest years of my life professionally. In that, I do think that you are giving a voice and you're giving a picture of gay to America, and it's broader, and it gets more people to accept how we really are. It's not just a subculture; it is a part, and it's assimilated. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. One of the things that's been amazing to me is I thought there would be more blowback and more. Same with Queer as Folk. They were prepared for bomb threats when Queer as Folk premiered at Showtime. They literally went.
Well, we
through,
did
they had a
get some
meeting.
awful letters up in the writers'
Yes,
room.
we got some awful letters, but those were mostly just disgruntled fans. Why can't Brian and Justin be together?
Well, that's true.
But I was prepared for more blowback than we actually got. The generation that this network targets, the millennial generation, they have accepted this family from day one without, one in every 1,000 tweets is something along the lines of like, well, I don't like lesbians, but I like the Fosters. But like one in 1,000.
But not only that, like, it's like, that's movement.
That's
Do you know what,
movement.
like
100%,
it goes to the
exactly.
Harvey Milk thing of like, if you know one, like, oh, I don't really like, but I like that one.
Yeah.
Hey, so everybody that was a bigot had a first person that helped start changing their mind.
Right. No, it's true. It's absolutely true. And it doesn't I don't know what I was going to say, but it's there's so much there. There's so many different ways for people to find their way in. Oh, the other comment I love is, which we hear all the time, is like, my dad doesn't want me watching the Fosters, but I'm just going to watch it on my phone at school.
Oh, I love that.
That's great.
Well, I mean, you have to have gotten these letters where, with Queer as Folk, so many young kids in the hinterland saw that Queer as Folk and saw gay for the first time and identified.
I was just in, Queer as Folk, it was 10 years ago now. We went off the air 10 years ago, which is
crazy?
Crazy. But I was just in Puerto Vallarta for New Year's, and there was a lot of gay people there.
What?
In case you
And
hadn't
Stop
heard,
it.
in Puerto Vallarta.
Leslie Jordan was there.
I saw Leslie while I was there. He's so funny. Never recognizes me ever. I'm always like, Peter Paige. Hey,
I still look at him sometimes and have to go, Emerson.
It's a long way looking up.
I guess
It is
everyone
long.
looks the same from down there. Bless his heart.
Just pat his head and go on your way.
Anyway, so I was there, but the number of guys who walked up to me and went, I know you from, where do I know you? Friends with my friend Mike? Or are you ever been to Little Rock? Like, who are trying to figure out why they know me. But when they do figure it out, the number of times that these men, full-grown men now, said to me, like, you were a pivotal part of my childhood. Just is that's a really incredible gift to have been given. You
Well,
know?
and not to fangirl, but I'm firmly in that category. I'm right
Mm.
at the place where Queer as Folk was like, I was at Baylor University and driving up to a friend's apartment to watch them on a VHS
Love
that
it.
he taped them. And for me specifically, what Emmett represented for the first time in popular culture, the ability to proudly celebrate other aspects of femininity and just this is who I am and live my life. I now when I sashay down Santa Monica Boulevard, like with Beyonce, like I'm on America's Next Top, like that started for me. Emmett was the first person I saw who said like, that's fine too. And for me, it's not all the time, but it's like when that's the mood I'm in.
Yeah.
He was the person who said like, that's okay. And people will love that.
Thank you.
And we had a Tuck Watkins on the show the other day.
Tuck's
Yes.
a good friend of mine.
Okay,
but I think that conversation's really.
I would like
really
you to weigh in
complicated.
on that. I would like, because I mean, he didn't bring you up, but he said he basically implied that I could do better with some of my work. I have Brother Boy. I wrote your
But see, to me, it's like inclusion doesn't mean exclusion to images
Yes.
that make you comfortable.
There you go.
Inclusion means more images.
Yes.
It does. To me, I take exception to what he said about
I do
Modern
too.
Family. I actually disagree with that. And again, I love Tuck. I have enormous respect for him. I think he waded into a conversation he probably wasn't prepared for. But I thought he handled it quite beautifully. I thought he owned where he misstepped and is just trying to articulate a point of view for himself. But I still hear in his statement an apology for or a distaste for anything other than hypermasculine stereotypes.
Yes.
Or archetypes.
Yes, and archetypes, stereotypes, whatever. I mean, he was saying the stereotype was that, which you could say Emmett was.
Yeah.
I mean, according to
It
his
was a big queen,
definition.
yeah.
But I said, what do we do? Do we eliminate that? Because we know Emmett. Come on.
Girl.
I mean,
I'm right here.
Please, girl.
I'm right here in
are
the
we
room.
supposed to just forget and pretend that they don't
That's my point.
exist?
That's my point.
I mean, it's bullshit.
Someone said to me once about Emmett, you give Nelly Queens a good name. And I was like, good. Nelly
Yeah.
Queens deserve a good name.
And
after
also-
all these fucking years. Excuse me. I'm not
What?
supposed
No.
to
Oh, no,
swear.
you can't.
No,
Here,
I
we're
can
on
swear.
we're
Are you
online.
kidding?
Fuck
That's-
away.
I love the internet.
And my thing about that is the shame associated with those people, because like as you said, agitating for broader representation, I am for that all the time. Connor
Exactly.
on How to Get Away with Murder is my favorite new character on television because that young, like aggressively
How
sexual.
about Connor on The Fosters?
Oh, I mean,
He's young.
I was gonna say,
But
like,
adorable.
but
I want to talk about that story though.
more is important. But taking away, but stereotypes. There are a lot of things about me that are stereotypical.
Yeah,
Stereotypes
me
come from
too.
something. The reason stereotypes exist and we laugh about them and embrace them, you can do both of those together. You can laugh at a
100%.
stereotype and still embrace and own it.
And I mean, there's a big difference. Where I thought Emmett was different than a stereotype, and I think Emmett was written to be a stereotype a little bit at the beginning. I think Dan and Ron would even admit this.
Right.
They pulled me aside during the filming of the pilot and said, just so you know, we didn't think we'd get an actor for this role. We thought we'd get a snippy queen. We'd give him a few lines every episode to be a little bit of comic relief.
Supposed to be black originally.
and comment. That's true. Probably should have been, but anyway.
You did
I got the
it.
job, so I did what I could do. I tanned when I could. They said we didn't realize we'd get an actor, and we're gonna write for you. We're gonna let you do you. And I would never, like, the costume designer Patrick Antosh, who was brilliant, but I would always say to Patrick, like, yes, I will wear this fabulous sweater that you've put a see-through vinyl window in
Blue and
over
clear
my
and blue. I
nipples.
can
Yes.
see it in my head.
I will wear that and I will love it, and I will wear those orange leather pants and I will wear that hot pink shirt, but I'm not gonna sleep in a nightie. I'm gonna sleep in sweatpants and an old t-shirt
Or naked.
Well, or naked.
But
You know what I mean? I
you
just-
had so many dimensions for him.
I
mean,
wanted that. That was
God, I
super important to
loved
me. That was super important to me.
He
and
was
I
a
think
human.
that he was a human being,
yes.
and that was, an early review of the show said, "Sorry, Peter Paige, you've been outflamed by Jack on Will and Grace," and I was like, I love Sean and I love what he does on Will and Grace, but if you're under the impression that that's what I'm interested in doing, you've got this show all wrong.
Yeah.
Well, and to me, even more so, like the giant difference too between the way archetypes and stereotypes are represented in comedy and drama are different on purpose. Like in comedy, stereotypes are stereotypes like across the board. Like if you're going to object to Modern Family, well then you need to object to like everyone on Modern Family.
To Sofia
is-
Vergara.
Yes,
Do you object to Sofia Vergara? Because
Right.
she's every bit as much of a stereotype.
stereotype.
I brought
as
that
as
up, and he said no.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like that tells me the difference. If you want to object to like the entire concept of stereotypes in comedy, great, carry that flag. Good luck with that. but if it's just this particular one,
He's sassy this one.
then you're internalizing some kind of weird homophobia that we need to keep talking about.
Yeah, it's almost like I don't want to embrace that little sissy that I work so hard not to be.
Yes.
Does that,
Yeah.
because I have the tape recorder.
and by the
practice
way,
my
I
voice.
still have those voices in my head. I still feel like, oh, I'm not man enough. I still wrestle with that stuff, and I'm one of the poster boys for Queens. Like, so Emerson's got something. I feel like.
Well,
there's
I want to
something about
ask.
happen.
People have some great questions, and I want to get to the gay storyline. They start first with the Foster questions because there's 800 Queer as Folk questions, of course. Said about the Fosters. Sarita Coke, probably nom de plume, asks: is there some of your personality in Brandon Foster, and which character of the Fosters do you most identify with?
There's some of me in all of those characters that you don't create characters that come from someplace outside of you. You take little pieces of yourself and amplify them and mix them with people that you know. But there is, I was the child of divorced parents, and that tug, that desire to be the best little boy in the world, that responsibility that I felt from a very young age, we gave all that to Brandon. One of my favorite episodes early on is the one where Brandon has to decide which parent he's going to live with, and that's my childhood. That's from my childhood,
And I think this is the one you wanted to talk about. Jack Finley asked, will the Foster's writers continue developing the young gay character Jude? It's really great how they have shown his wrestling with his orientation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big story this season, which starts Monday night.
And
Yes,
I
Monday
love
night
that
on
it
ABC
started
Family.
right in that pilot with it. That was why the whole conflict started, because of him wearing a dress. It was great. It's just so good. I was going to power through Scandal next, but I'm going to do the Fosters
Do it.
next.
See,
Do
inspired.
it.
I want to talk. Can we talk one really other thing? Because we talk a lot about out gay actors.
When
and the
have you
process
ever
of all
asked
of that.
me permission to do anything?
See, I'm growing as a person too in 2015. But you were at the very early forefront of being like unashamedly out, in addition to being an actor. I don't really like
out. I don't know about unashamedly, but
I don't like out gay actor because it's like gay,
Yes.
but you know what I mean, and
Yes.
that's another. I don't know now. I don't remember where I was going because you got me. Oh yes, but you also have more than so many others. You have a real commitment to contributing to the LGBT community, but beyond your art. You work on the board of the LA Gay and Lesbian Center, correct?
I do.
Because we attended a garden party related to an
Where I
event
met Tuck.
for gay seniors. Can you just share some of that?
the LA Gay and Lesbian Center is the largest LGBT organization in the world, bar none. There's nothing even close, which is kind of amazing. And the breadth of services and the number of people who are touched by the work that the center does is unparalleled. So when I was asked to join the board, during the Queer as Folk years, I was like scattershot. I got asked to speak at every gay organization, and I grand marshaled every gay parade, and I went and I tried as hard as I could to do as much as I could, because I felt like I had been given this gift, and I had a responsibility to give back, and I wanted to, and I enjoyed it, but it was also exhausting. I mean, by the year after Queer as Folk, I was like, I got nothing. My tank is empty. So I knew I had to sort of focus my charitable work. And I thought, well, I'm being asked to focus it by the biggest organization in the world, which I believe has extraordinary impact. So that's what I'm going to do. The LA Gay and Lesbian Center does everything from like hell. A lot of people in LA think like, oh, that's where I go to get my HIV test.
Right.
That's also where you go if you get a positive diagnosis. It's also, now we have a trans medical center. We have mental health clinic. We do housing for LGBT homeless youth. We have GED programs. We have adult education classes. We have programs for senior citizens. We're now developing a multi-generational low-income housing for people, which in LA is becoming a bigger and bigger and bigger issue. No one can afford to live in the city anymore.
They put on good theater even.
They put on great theater,
Yeah.
award-winning theater,
Yes.
and they there's more, like there's legal services if you're getting evicted from your apartment because you're gay. There's domestic violence help. Any problem you have, there's probably resources for you at the center. So it's really hard. I keep wanting to quit. I keep trying to quit. They won't let me. So it's really hard when you get in the elevator with someone and they say, well, why are you here in the building? And I say, oh, I'm here for a board meeting. And they burst into tears and say, the center saved my life. I gotta go, okay, well,
Got to
this
keep
is good
doing
work.
it.
Yeah.
Well, good
So,
for you.
Thanks.
How much time we have, John?
We have 1 minute.
Okay.
Okay.
All
well,
right.
So, well, just so that people know, if you haven't seen The Fosters, the second half of the second season premieres Monday night on ABC Family.
Yes, 8 o'clock.
And they've just been
January
here
19th.
for a third season, so go back and binge watch because this adventure is continuing.
You can binge watch on the Netflix.
That's where
on
I
the Watch
was,
ABC
yeah.
Family app if you want.
Yep.
If you want to do it there.
Because everybody loves it. It won the GLAAD Media Award. It won the Teen Choice Breakout Show Award. So everybody from the gays to the teens.
Television Academy honors.
Everyone.
Yes.
You're on Twitter?
I'm on Twitter at the Peter Paige.
Okay, and you're going to be in my home state at a Queers Folk reunion soon in Austin,
Yeah.
Texas, correct?
Yeah, that's
Who do you
the
keep in
summer.
touch with?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah,
okay.
we're all still. We went through something so specific and unique.
Yeah.
No one in the world has had that experience except the 9 of us, and it's just undeniable. There's just a family component.
I noticed
to our
that Scott's been on an episode. Anybody else?
No, just Scott. So
okay.
far.
Oh,
Just
so
Scott
he's
so
your
far.
favorite. Okay, cool.
Yeah, well,
He's an amazing actor.
and an amazing human being. I just love that
him
boy.
to
I'm
death.
so excited. I'm going to see him in Elephant Man next week.
Here in LA?
No, on Broadway. He's doing it. He's doing it with. He's in the Elephant Man with Bradley Cooper.
Oh, well, that's worth going back to. New
That's a
York
cute little
for.
gig.
So, well, Peter, it's so good to see you. You look great. I'm so happy. I mean, who would have thought when we ended that show that we'd go, okay, who's going to be the most successsill of this group?
Well,
he's sitting right here. It's Peter Paige.
Shut your mouth. There's no. It's not a contest.
Well,
I'm
it's not.
Very grateful. I learned so much at Queers Folk, and I try to carry the mantle forward.
Well,
thanks for what you're doing. You're doing
and-
an amazing thing for us
And
all.
from those of us who are following in the footsteps of those of you who trailblaze, thank you for your work as an actor, for the stories that you choose to tell, and truly above and beyond that, as a performer, not just sharing, writing in words, and this is what I think, but actually going out and working with organizations and making real change. So
Thanks.
So that's our show, everybody. Up next is Tony Sweet, and after that is Ann Lavonda Walker Show, and we love you all. Thanks for joining us.
See you next week.
In the future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
I've never seen a diamond in the flesh. I cut my teeth on wedding rings in the movies, and I'm not proud of my address.